Welcome to Before the Score, episode number 13. I'm Steve Sammer, and we're going to talk about Spike Lee and the Knicks feud. Right now, we're going to get right into it. Of course, Spike Lee was in the news. He was on First Take with Stephen A. Smith saying that he's been targeted by James Dolan. He was removed from the Knicks game, but then he was let back in after coming in the wrong entrance, an entrance that he claims that he's been going in for 28 years plus. So, Pablo Hernandez, tell me, what are your thoughts on James Dolan irritating another Knicks superfan?
Well, Stephen Sammer, thank you very much. All I have to say is that the New York Knicks have nothing going for them right now. Nothing good is going for them. Their young talent is not too promising. There's just so much that is wrong than good for the New York Knicks. And doing something like this to somebody who is a legend, when you think of the New York Knicks, you think of Spike Lee. You think of Spike Lee joint. You think of Spike Lee. Spike Lee is just as much as part of the Knicks as basketball is a part of the Knicks.
Spike Lee is probably the biggest star on the Knicks right now.
It's crazy.
For the last 10 years, besides Carmelo Anthony, there hasn't been a bigger Knicks member, really, than Spike Lee, besides the infamous James Dolan.
Well, Steve, you want to know something about the Knicks, right? And this James Dolan thing, it has definitely been going on for a little while. You have fans booing, and you have being threatened basically to be thrown out of MSG.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this doesn't make any sense. These guys, these are fans. They pay the price of the ticket to sit there and to cheer, to boo. That's the part of being a fan. That's, I understand as an owner, you can basically dictate, what the fans do, what they wear. But that's something where if your team isn't too good, as long as they're showing up and putting some butts in the seats, I think you should just back off. Now, what was the whole purpose behind it?
Well, let's take it back to Monday and talk about what happened with the Knicks, because the Knicks had a great win. They beat the Houston Rockets, who I just claimed as my team for the rest of the year. They went out, they beat them. RJ Barrett looked fantastic. It's a game-winning shot. Frank Ntilikina has his best game of the year. It was a fantastic game. Spike Lee, that really took over the headlines, though. Nobody was talking about RJ Barrett's 29 points career high. Nobody was talking about Frank Ntilikina's game-saving defensive plays against Russell Westbrook. Talking about Spike Lee and his argument with James Dolan. And James Dolan always has to be in the spotlight. And the Knicks also got a new general manager, a new president, I mean. It's Leon Rose. He's a beloved agent in the basketball community. And, the Knicks, how long is it until they muck that up?
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the Leon Rose hire, and that this should be a time where the Knicks and Knicks fans could really enjoy the first win of the Leon Rose era. Beating the Rockets, a great team. They're gonna go pretty far in this playoffs. It was a great win, completely overshadowed by this news. And then let me just read some of the Knicks statement that they came out with Spike Lee saying it was laughable. It's disappointing that Spike's creating this false narrative. And I kind of get this side of the Knicks where James Dolan's coming from here. Like you said, Spike Lee has been using that entrance for about 20 years, but they switched it up. They don't want him using the entrance. They want to use where every other VIP guest comes in. They want him to go that way. And I get it, it's a new rule, and Spike's he's a fan. He's not a player. He's not part of the team. He's a fan. So he's got to abide by those rules, in my opinion. So it got a little dramatized. I feel like it got blown up for maybe not much of a reason. Spike Lee did kind of play a victim card there. I get where he's coming from. He's done a lot for this organization. But at the end of the day, these are the new rules, and he should be following them.
Spike Lee, they actually did the math on ESPN First Take. So his season tickets in total for his entire life, it has cost him almost $30 million. Upwards of $30 million. That is insane.
That's a lot of losing he's seen.
That's a lot of losing, no championships. He even said, I might die before I see a championship.
He also said his son might die before he sees a championship.
Say that about every team I like.
Yeah,
but
right?
Because this is kind of the situation where it's only as big of a deal as because of James Dolan. I mean, if it's 99% of other owners in the league, this really isn't that big of a problem. It's just James Dolan's kind of known for that. What was it, a year ago or 2 years ago, where he threatened to kick the fan out for saying sell the team?
He kicked out 9 fans this week.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
He does this all the time.
Same with Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
For a billionaire or whatever he is, he's so petty. Like that's such like a that's the thing any bad owner gets, and you just have to suck it up.
My thing is, if you if you told any other casual fan that this guy owns the Rangers too, they'd be like, "What the hell? I didn't even know that."
It's such
He does a fantastic job with the Rangers. He just stays out of their business. People don't even know he owns the Rangers. And the Rangers have had a successful rebuild. They made the Stanley Cup, and with the Knicks, why can't he just stay away?
We only talk about the owners when the team's bad. You think same thing with the Mets. I mean, no one talks about Hal Steinbrenner. They talk about Jeff Wilpon, Fred Wilpon, because the team sucks.
Yep.
Yeah, but even I think the Wilpons, the Mets could be good, not because of the Wilpons.
In spite of them.
Yeah, in spite of the Wilpons. Same way the Knicks,
It's
they are
the
ever
Rangers.
good.
The Rangers are good in spite of. I mean, he doesn't meddle in like hockey operations as much as he does with the Knicks. But I mean, it's easier to try to control the roster when you're an owner in basketball because it's such a smaller roster. It's hard for an owner in hockey to say, "I want these like 7 guys this offseason."
I see where this, going back to the Knicks and going back to Spike Lee, I see where this is going because Spike Lee is trying to create this narrative of him being a victim and everything. Pretty much he wants the fans to take his side and get rid of Dolan. This is all a play to get rid of Dolan, in my opinion. You see some photos of them, right before the game start, him shaking James Dolan's hand, saying it was a misunderstanding. The very next morning, goes on to First Take, and he blows up James Dolan and the Knicks. This is just a ploy to get more fans angry at Dolan and him to sell the team. And it might be him and Leon Rose might be part of this, just to get Dolan the hell out of there.
Well, Dan, honestly, I think that's a very good way to look at this. And the only thing I have to say to that is fans already do not like this guy.
Of course.
And obviously, if you know what's going on, if you live in New York, you know that nobody is a huge fan of this guy. Everybody wants this guy out. So even though Spike Lee is somebody who's beloved by Knicks fans,
he's the most beloved.
He's
Knicks
the most
fan.
beloved Knicks fan. He is
More beloved than any player in the Knicks.
He
right
is.
now.
He is the Knicks. But when you look at something like that, right? I just feel like, yeah, this is a big deal, but it's not really a big deal because in 2 weeks we'll be over this. In a few
there
days,
might be another James Dolan controversy.
Yeah, it's like a snowball effect. I mean, no one James Dolan incident has been that bad where it's like they're going to call for his head to be fired just from that. It's just a snowball of shitty situation after shitty situation.
My thing with James Dolan is when you look at the Wilpons, why are they bad owners? They're bad owners because they meddle and they don't spend money.
Don't.
James Dolan meddles, but he doesn't care. He'll spend every dollar on the Knicks.
But the problem is no one wants to take his money because they see that front office, like that organization, and they just feel this is just a shit show. Why would I? Look at Kevin Durant. Everyone thought he was going to be a Knick. He was going to be the face of the Knicks and turn that narrative around. Get some winning seasons, and be the face of New York. Now he's the face of New York on the other side of the river with the Brooklyn Nets because that's a more stable organization. So this is all on Dolan and the instability of the Knicks, and this has been happening since the Carmelo days,
Yeah, and even if Dolan, if he just kept his mouth shut and stayed out of things, you just made a great hire, Leon Rose. That was lauded by basketball fans around the world. They thought that was fantastic, and Leon Rose could bring the Knicks back because he has so many connections to so many great players. Karl-Anthony Towns from New Jersey. He even said Leon Rose is one of the best people in basketball. He's helped my career. Maybe he'll work with him again someday.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell came out, and he also said this is such a great hire. And there's more players that I can't name to the top of my head, but have come out and say, what a hire. And we're not even talking about this hire. We're talking about this Spike Lee nonsense. But I see where he's coming from. This is just to get Dolan the hell out of there.
Yeah, this should have been a great week for the Knicks. And instead, as soon as that final buzzer went off, we were greeted with Spike Lee news. He was on First Take, and now, whether it was because of the coronavirus or not, the Knicks had the lowest attendance they've had in 16 years yesterday, and they got absolutely blown out by the Utah Jazz. So it just went from what could have been a great week to just another disappointing week as a Knicks fan.
I think it just goes to show you the state of the New York Knicks, where you're not even talking about what's going on, with the team. You're talking about what's happening with the fan. You're not even talking about a GM move. You're talking about what's happening with Spike Lee. Now, this is a team that's just so removed, an owner that's so removed from his fan base and so removed from just times in general. And I understand that everybody wants him out, but I think we're all just going to have to accept the fact that this guy is not going anywhere anytime.
Well, Steve, do you think, because you see over the past decade that even when the Knicks are horrible, they sell out like almost every game. Do you see it getting to the point where if they don't improve the next 4 or 5 years and the Nets become like actually a competitive playoff team every year, Do you see that attendance like dipping and then like saying, fuck this, I'm not buying any more tickets?
I really don't. I really don't see the attendance ever dipping. I think that the Knicks are just, the brand is so big, and New York loves basketball so much that Dolan could do whatever he wants, unless he has a Donald Sterling type rant where he has to be removed.
They're
I mean,
not
just
gonna pull him
just
out of
because
there.
he meddles a little bit, Adam Silver can't do anything about
Yeah.
that. It's just disappointing, and I hope that if he can stay out of Leon Rose's way, and then they can get good again. I really think I heard this on the radio today, and people were speculating the reason that James Dolan is so fine with staying out of the Rangers, but he wants to be there for the Knicks, is he wants to be the reason. He wants to be known as the reason why the Knicks are good again. He wants to be part of that parade on the Canyon of Heroes where people are chanting his name.
But
And that makes a lot of sense.
He wants the
That's what
statue.
ruined
Yeah.
the Steve Cohen deal with the Mets.
Yeah.
The Dan Wilpons are like, oh, no. We'll stay for 5 years, and when they're good again, we'll take the credit for that.
Exactly. They want the credit. And, if he just stayed out of there and spent his money, guess what? He would get some credit. But the reason he's not is because he just
Well,
can't help himself.
Honestly, Steve, I think even if he were offering up the money, just because of all the negative energy and all the negative attention that this guy has been bringing to the New York Knicks, I don't think anybody wants to come. I honestly think Durant, even if they would have offered him the money, I still feel like he would have been more happy with the Nets.
Yeah, well, who knows? With Kyrie injured now, the Nets are a different topic that
I'll tell you something.
not enough time to talk about the Nets.
Kyrie, you talk about injuries in professional sports. You talk about Giancarlo Stanton. I'm tired of just fans eating up and attacking Giancarlo Stanton for not staying healthy. When there are guys, even in New York now, with a guy like Kyrie Irving, this guy's whole career has just been injury after injury after injury. And I don't think, even when Kevin Durant comes back, I really don't think they're ever going to.
Yeah. We'll see. That's some time. We'll see next year. But let's move on to another thing in the NBA world. And last night we had Zion Williamson and Luka Doncic face off for the first time in their careers. So my question for you guys is, which player would you rather build your franchise around?
Personally, to me, I'd rather have Luka Doncic. The sample size for Zion is so small. It's really hard to give a good argument why, he's not going to be. He's going to be successful. He's going to be a great player. You could see he's, almost averaging like 30 points, So, but Luka Doncic, though, he just turned 21 a couple of weeks ago. And right now, where it stands, if the season were to end, he'd be third in MVP voting, in my opinion. Being 21 years old and being that good at basketball, leading this Mavericks franchise to the playoffs right now, which is incredible. Their record, I think they may be 10 games over 500, which is incredible in the hard Western Conference. And he's got some good players. Like Porzingis is playing a lot better since his injury, but the team's not nearly that deep. He is taking on this giant load, and he is carrying that franchise right now. And I could see him having maybe even a better career than Dirk Nowitzki.
Yeah, and the Mavericks just know how to find those foreign players. Yep. But I'm going to look on the other side of things because I would take Zion Williamson. And Zion, he's only 19. He's still a teenager. And this guy's averaging almost 25 points per game. And when he went up against LeBron and the Lakers for the second time on Sunday night, I was like, man, no way he'll repeat that game he just had against them. He won't be as good. He was better. He scored a new career high. And I think that Zion, once he develops more of a three-point shot, this guy is going to be unstoppable. He can out-jump the centers. He can get those rebounds. He can swish the threes. He can handle the ball. He can make the dunks. I don't know how you stop this guy.
No, Zion, he could be the best player in the league. I'm not doubting that at all. I'm not knocking him. The one concern I have about him, and he's so big and he's so athletic, there might be just one time where he comes down bad on his leg, gets injured. You could see that he's going to be an injury-prone player because just how big he is, And that's one of the advantages he has in this NBA. I think he may be like the third heaviest NBA player currently, and he's only 6'7". So I think he needs to trim that weight down a little bit because it's only going to be an injury risk for his career going forward.
Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think Luka Doncic, in my opinion, personally, I think he's going to have the better career. Not only just as an all-around better player, he's going to have the longevity. Zion, right now, he might look like a stud. He might be, the next big thing. But there's just something about throwing so much hype at somebody and just having somebody who's just so monsterly huge and so powering. I don't think he's going to last in this league. Now, I do think he's going to be a phenomenal player, especially if he stays healthy. But when you compare him, he's gotten so much hype. he was compared to LeBron James, and I don't think he lights a candle to LeBron James. LeBron James can just do so many things offensively, defensively. Zion is going to be really good if he can stay healthy, but Luka is going to be something special for many years to come.
I mean, you're splitting hairs, but I think I'd take Zion, and you kind of look at it as it's like high floor or like high ceiling player. Zion's obviously has the higher ceiling. I don't think Luka will ever. I think he'd be a great player in the future. I don't think he'll ever like be that best player in the league once like LeBron retires. I think Zion can be that, and it's kind of swinging for the fences there.
I don't know. I gotta disagree with you. I think Luka has the capability of being the best player in the league. When LeBron, if you want to say LeBron's the best player in the world right now, or you don't, I get it. You have Giannis. Giannis is right there. Giannis is in the conversation, and Giannis is still very young. So either of those two players overpassing a Giannis-like guy is going to be extremely difficult. But Luka and Zion as well have, I think, a very, very high ceiling. I don't think this is the best Luka Doncic we've seen, and he's almost like a triple-double guy as a 21-year-old. I think he has like maybe 12 or so triple-doubles this year, which is very impressive for his age. And I think he's only going to get better. I mean, he takes a lot of threes, and I think his percentages will go up. But, I mean, when he's on the court, his defense is the one knock that he has on him. He doesn't really – he saves himself so offensively because the Mavericks really need it. But over time, I think his defense is going to get better, and they're going to build a better team around him, and he could get to that elite level.
Another thing about Zion that I like is if you just surround him with a bunch of shooters, man, this team could be really dangerous. You get like a big wing 3-and-D guy who can help out, a point guard who can shoot a little better than Lonzo.
Well, you see the way Lonzo's
Drew
shooting
Holiday.
past like week or so. He's been on fire.
Yeah, Lonzo has been shooting a lot better. I'll give him that.
And in that game, Lonzo, I think he was 7 for 11 from 3, which is very, very good.
Lonzo had 2 really good games against the Lakers.
Yeah.
He has a fire lit up under him. I like the way he's been playing since he got to New Orleans. Also, speaking of Lonzo, I want to talk about what LeVar Ball said. And he said that if the Pelicans and Lakers a potential 1-8 matchup in the playoffs, his prediction is that the Lakers will lose. And he said that you've never seen his son in playoff mode.
You also said something a little more outrageous than that too.
All right. I'm gonna
get to that after.
I'm gonna stop it right now before we get any further. Right. LeVar Ball is the number one. I'm gonna say it. This guy, he talks a lot of crap, and he talks a lot of crap. Originally he said that he would be better than Michael Jordan, and that his son's gonna be the best player of all time. This guy is a complete embarrassment. Honestly, the reason why I don't like Ball, and for some reason I have so many Ball names running through my head.
Lonzo.
I was just thinking of LeAngelo. See, but all I have to say is the reason why I did not like LaMelo Ball is because of his father. And his father has turned off a lot of people to his son because of just the way he talks and the way I understand he's a father. Every father should love their son. Every father should want to see their son succeed and to promote their son. But just to talk crap and to just put so much unwanted attention and unwanted, not needed pressure on your young son is not necessary. And honestly, aside from LeBron wanting to trade him and wanting to bring in AD, I do think a big reason why this guy is out is because of his father. His father is a complete embarrassment to just all fathers and to just fans in general. Now, saying that his young team would upset a Laker team with LeBron, with AD, with Rondo, with Kuzma, there is no way in hell that happens. I would be floored. I would put my house, I would put my car, I would put my dogs, I would put my parrot. Actually, you could have the parrot for free. I would put everything that the Lakers would win in that series.
You made a good point. And one of the, maybe not the biggest factor, but the LeVar Ball presence with the Lakers may be one of the reasons why they wanted to ship Lonzo out, which I get it. It's just a headache and everything. And Magic had to deal with it. And, Jeannie Buss had to deal with it. And Rob Pelinka had to deal with it. It was just very annoying to hear that in the headlines. And recently, this season, we haven't heard LeVar Ball really talk at all.
Yeah, this is the first time he's really said something since Lonzo has really gotten to New Orleans.
Yeah, exactly. And Lonzo this year has been playing so much better. Maybe that's in part because he's not on a LeBron team where, he's becoming more of a main focus and it's a different type of team. I get it. That's probably why he's getting better. But the fact that, LeVar hasn't been chirping has brought down the pressure a lot. And he's been playing a lot better not having a lot of pressure. They're making a run to maybe be the 8th seed in the Western Conference. Now you got LeVar talking again. maybe this gets to Lonzo's head, and he starts to playing more poorly. And that's going to be a factor, I think, when LeVar Ball, runs his mouth. Maybe that gets in Lonzo's head and, affects his performances.
And what did LeVar also LeVar
He
say?
said that once LiAngelo gets into the league, he'd lead the league in scoring. He said that
Yeah, maybe the
with a
G
straight
League.
face. So I don't even know if he'll ever make it to the league. But
Yeah.
anyways, I mean, I don't have a problem with LeVar Ball. Honestly, I get he rubs people like Pablo the wrong way. You hate that kind of person who's that vocal. But I mean, he's a father. I mean, he hypes the hell out of his kids. I mean, he's one of the most supportive parents you're going to find in sports. I mean, you can't really hate him for that. You can be annoyed by it, but you can't say he's like a bad person.
His son
for that.
should be the one, with all the spotlight and all the attention. All their eyes and most of the eyes are on the father.
But when you're talking about LeVar Ball, you bring up his sons too. You're not just talking about LeVar. Every time you bring up LeVar Ball, LaMelo, LiAngelo, Lonzo are being mentioned in that same conversation.
You know what I look at when I look at the Ball sons? You've got a thief. You've got a kid who's never going to make it in the NBA.
I know.
And then
Wait, that's the same person I hope you're talking
Yeah.
about.
No.
Because LaMelo is going to be the
LaMelo's gonna be
savior
like
for
a
the New
lottery
York
pick.
Knicks.
I'm
He might
talking
be-
about
LiAngelo?
Lonzo?
Both those things were related.
LiAngelo is the same.
Got a lot of L's
Oh,
on your
I'm-
mind.
anyway, I don't think he's going to be the savior for the New York Knicks. I don't even think you want that guy. I don't think you want him around the New York Knicks.
Hey, if Leon Rose, if you're listening, I'd do anything
Draft
for
him.
LaMelo Ball. That's who I want in the
I would
draft.
get him and trade him. That's what I would do, absolutely.
So I think the question in everybody's minds right now is, do you think LeVar Ball has Odellbeckhamitis?
That's not even a question. Honestly, LeVar Ball is in discussion. He's in the running to actually change it to LeVar Ball Lamaitis. Because
What? Say that again. You just say that one more time.
I try to combine the Odell Beckhamitis.
LeVar Adamitis.
I don't think that. I hope that doesn't flow as well.
No.
LeVar Ball-itis, and he's in the running. He's in the running to have his own little sickness, disease.
For sports dads all around the world who care too much. Well, let's move on to football a little bit. This has to do with football. If you count your chickens and check on your mentals and your bodies, because I want to know what you guys think about Princeton University, those nerds up at Princeton University, saying they don't want Marshawn Lynch as their commencement speaker.
Yeah, I mean, the guy went to Cal. I mean, maybe it was because of his football scholarship,
Maybe.
but I mean, he went to a very good school. And what has Marshawn Lynch ever done? He's a very good NFL player. Off the field, not many issues. He's very good with the community.
Right.
He's a good man. He's a good guy, good father. So you're right. They're nerds. I don't know who the hell they want. I don't know if they want some, stupid nerd as well.
Some scientists.
Yeah,
instead.
like what? I bet there are. It's obviously a minority of Princeton people that signed the agreement or the petition or whatever. So I can't speak for the whole university, but for that group of people, you need to calm down. This is a great speaker. You're going to get a very entertaining commencement speech. Just calm down. It's ridiculous.
I mean, Marshawn Lynch is one of my favorite players in NFL history. He's a great person. He's a great character. He hasn't really done anything wrong. I mean, but I get it. You can't he doesn't relate to anybody in Princeton. I mean, none of them. How many of them are gonna be huge sports fans? I get wanting someone that you can relate with to be your commencement speaker. So that point of view, I guess.
I just think it's kind of random. Why Marshawn Lynch of all the players? Why is it him?
Right. And I
Marshawn
also,
Lynch.
one more thing. I understand being upset about the commencement speaker, but signing a petition to get someone out of there, that's just kind of corny. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's super corny. It's almost as corny as fans creating a GoFundMe to have Cody Rhodes' tattoo removed off his neck. I know you guys, you're not too big in wrestling, but this is something where it's just a commencement speech, right? He's going to do his thing for a few minutes, and then we're all going to go home and go our separate ways. I personally think it's awesome that he wants to come to a Princeton and to do this type of thing. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, to just kind of hate on him for doing it because, you don't like him, you don't think he's a big name, I just think you guys should just shut up and take your diploma and just leave, because at the end of the day, that's what you're there to do. You're not there to listen to anybody else. You're there to graduate and to just, go on with your life.
Yeah, let me tell you something. To these nerds at Princeton University, you are a bunch of spoiled sons of bitches. You know that? Complaining about Marshawn Lynch as your commencement speaker. This guy, in NFL history, I'm going to steal that from you. This guy, Marshawn Lynch,
This guy.
He was a fantastic NFL running back. He's a Super Bowl champion, should be a 2-time Super Bowl champion if he got the ball at the 1-yard line. Also, he never spent 1 cent of his game checks in the NFL. Not one until he retired. The first time, now he's spending whatever he wants. But every month, all the money he spent was from advertising
That's
checks.
Skittles money.
Yeah, the Skittles money. That Skittles advertisement. This man can come in.
Much money.
I'll tell you what. He'll tell you how to handle your chicken. Which, for you nerds, it's your money. That's your money he's talking about. He'll tell you to take care of your mentals, which is your minds. That's what your mind is. And your bodies, which I think we can go from there, you nerds. You'll know that. But these Princeton nerds just piss me off. You want Lester Holt? I'll make a trade with you.
You would do that trade?
I would take Marshawn Lynch over Lester Holt. We wouldn't?
Lester Holt's cool, yeah.
Who's
but
Lester
I mean,
Holt?
he works on MSNBC. He's like a political commentator. He does like the debates. He has his own show.
Lester Holt is very good. That's a great commencement speaker. I'm
Very
happy
good.
that Rutgers University will have Lester Holt. But Marshawn Lynch,
Yeah.
I could go for Marshawn Lynch. I would have been doing cartwheels if they announced Marshawn Lynch was my commencement speaker. But these nerds, they don't want him. So you take Lester Holt, we'll trade you. Like
Jeez.
the ESPN and NBC trying to trade commentators. Let's trade commencement speakers. Fucking Lester Holt, man. I don't have any problems with you.
I've got to
But
look this guy
I'll
up.
take Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, I was pretty lucky with the McCourty twins last year. I thought that was a pretty cool commencement speech. But I mean, imagine having Obama, having a president as your commencement speaker. That was awesome.
That guy?
Yeah, that guy.
He's talking about Lester Holt, not Obama. But yeah, man, these nerds are pissing me off, and I'm gonna keep saying that to refer to you, Princeton nerds.
Yep.
Technically, Rutgers' biggest rival. I mean, back in the
First
day.
football game,
Here
yeah.
We beat them in the first football game. We'll always have that.
1869
That was your most
national
recent
champions.
win, too.
250
There we go.
years of beating Princeton's ass in the first football game. How
Yeah.
does that
Nice.
feel? Why can't Marshawn Lynch, if he doesn't want to do the Princeton speech anymore because these nerds want to run him out of town, him and Lester Holt can do a joint commencement speech? That would be the
How
most
about you
entertaining
make
thing
that
ever.
petition?
I
You make a
should,
petition
right?
for Rutgers to take him.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch, you don't want to go to Princeton? Come to New Brunswick.
Yeah.
We'll take you, They might have to sell tickets for that.
Yeah, that'd be a good show.
Tickets for Marshawn Lynch.
I-
Next topic.
I gotta know how to count my chickens, Well, this one concerns your boy Jerry G a little bit because the rumor has it that there's mutual interest between Tom Brady and the San Francisco 49ers. Do you think the 49ers, Pablo Hernandez, the Jerry G, Jimmy G hater, do you think they should sign Tom Brady?
No. And I'm going to tell you why. Jerry G, Jimmy G, whatever you want to call him, this is his team. Regardless of what I think about him, this is his team. If they're going to win, it's going to be on his back. And if they're going to change the quarterback, it's not going to be with a guy like Tom Brady, who's established his career, who's established his whole persona and his whole style, his whole winning ways with the Patriots. I think he's going to stay with the New England Patriots, and I think that Garoppolo is just going to do his thing over here. And personally, I'm just tired of hearing everything, all these rumors about is Tom Brady retiring, having that speech with having that interview with Belichick. I'm just so tired of it. He's not leaving the Patriots. He's not going anywhere. This is just fake news. This is something just to stir up the headlines. This is something just to get people like us to talk about. Garoppolo is not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's just dumb to think a team that just went to the Super Bowl is going to get rid of their franchise quarterback who they're paying $140 million to for a 42-year-old Tom Brady or 41-year-old Tom Brady. Just completely a joke. We should just brush this aside. This isn't news. The same thing with the Dallas Cowboys news that they were going to think about getting rid of Dak Prescott, letting him go, and taking in Tom Brady. That's ridiculous. Dak Prescott's going to sign the contract with the Cowboys. That's going to happen. But with Pablo's point of Tom Brady staying, I don't know if it's too certain he's going to stay. There's some good teams in the mix. Thinking about the Tennessee Titans would be a really good fit. The Oakland Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, man, I don't know how many times I'm going to do that next season. The Los Angeles Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers, and maybe even the Indianapolis Colts. So there's a lot of places you could see Tom Brady go for a couple years that is a lot better of a fit than the Dallas Cowboys or the Niners. I get it, he wants to win quick, but those two teams should not be thinking about a Tom Brady like guy.
I'm just gonna disregard, like you said, disregard the whole notion that he's gonna go to the Cowboys because that's not gonna happen. Every time there's a contract situation like this with a quarterback, they sign the quarterback.
Yep.
But you look at the other teams that are interested in him, rumored to go there. Vegas, Chargers, all those teams suck. And you saw last year Tom Brady took a big step back. He did not look good. He's not mobile in the pocket. And those teams are all a step down for the New England roster they have right now. So, I mean, if he's getting another year, he's getting slower and slower, he's not going to be able to move behind those lines. I don't see how going to a worse situation and a team that he's never left New England, so you don't know what he's going to be without that. So I think if he leaves New England, that it's going to be a complete disaster.
I don't know. If you look at if he went to Tennessee.
Tennessee is the only one that maybe, because he can lead in a running game.
Tennessee, yeah, he's going to have a great running game. He has a pretty good offensive line there. There's some better weapons, I think, on offense that they have than currently with the Patriots. Their defense has improved, and Mike Vrabel, one of his best friends. So I think that fit is the best. But like you said, the Chargers roster is still pretty good. I think we're
but you saw the problem last year was Phillip Rivers not being able to move behind the pocket, and that's killed them. It's the same thing with Brady. He's obviously better than Phillip Rivers, but it's the same issue you're going to have. They'll be a little bit better.
And then you saw Melvin Gordon is going to free agency. That's a little news we'll break there. But
next week also we have an NFL free agency special because by then it'll be NFL free agency. So
that is true. I doubt Tom Brady will have a team by then. But
well, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit because Jimmy Garoppolo and the Niners can get out of that contract with only about $9 million in dead cap, which if they feel like Tom Brady can win them a Super Bowl, because in the NFL, look at the Jaguars. You could go be one win away from the Super Bowl and be the worst team in the league by tomorrow. The 49ers know that they have to pay George Kittle, and they have to pay some people on that defense. They're not going to keep Eric Armstead. They have to keep drafting. That defense is so young. You got to win a Super Bowl within the next 2 to 3 years, or that their window is going to close.
That's such a short-sighted view, though. I mean, if you're banking on a 43, 44-year-old Tom Brady to win a Super Bowl, then, but they're right there. They're going to be the favorites again to win the NFC, and you don't bank having a 6, 7, 8-year run like they're built to do, because I know they have a lot of people to pay, but they're all pretty young, so that's a young-ass roster for that being that good.
Also, to go back 2 years ago, before the 49ers traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, do you know they asked for first? They asked for Tom Brady, and the Patriots said thought about it. They actually thought about it.
Bill probably wanted to do that.
And then they wanted Garoppolo, and Kraft probably overruled him.
Yep.
Now there's no roadblocks in the way, and there was another report yesterday. Pablo brought it up briefly that there was a phone conversation between Brady and Belichick that went terribly.
It just sounds.
I don't know how anybody would know how the phone conversation went bad, but
someone's leaking. Because I just think this is just so obviously Tom Brady using leverage to get either more weapons in New England or to get more money. I don't think he's going to.
He's not.
That's going to be a good conversation for next week.
80% sure.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, I remember being in the 8th grade. It's so weird to think about it now. When Derek Jeter, when his contract was ending, and a lot of people were asking. I remember my teacher was asking, hey, do you think there's a possibility that Derek Jeter could wind up as a shortstop for the Boston Red Sox? I mean, when you think of Tom Brady, you think of the Patriots. When you think of a guy like Derek Jeter, you think of the New York Yankees, and you think of all the success that these guys have both had. I cannot see a guy like that, a Kobe Bryant type, somebody who stays and cements their legacy with one team. This guy is not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere.
I don't know. You look at the history of the NFL. You've had Peyton Manning, little different circumstances why he moved. Joe Montana, Steve Young's coming in, younger quarterback, and he moves on. So this whole notion of
even
sticking,
Jerry Rice too.
Yeah, even Jerry Rice. Yeah, this whole notion of staying with the team for your entire career, I don't think it applies as much to the NFL as other sports. I mean, even we saw reports about Eli with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, apparently that's been debunked as untrue.
Oh, okay.
But when you're getting a report from Leroy the dog,
Leroy the dog,
you're gonna try to take that as gold. So.
And to answer your point of the whole Joe Montana, Steve Young, the Patriots don't have a Steve Young. They have nobody to replace him. So I mean, you can't kind of use that
different circumstances
that analogy because I mean it's understandable for the Patriots to want to move on from Tom Brady if they still had a guy like Jimmy G when he was younger and had a lot more potential.
If they release Jimmy G, then
then maybe that's a different conversation. That happens.
But also. One point that everybody's been talking about is Tom Brady. It's like, why would he leave New England? He lives there. He's lived there for 20 years. He's used to it.
He's the illegitimate son of Kraft.
But where's he from? He grew up a 49ers fan. He's from San Francisco. He's from California. He's not going to Alaska. He's going to his home state, his hometown. He knows this place.
That is completely irrelevant. This guy is a millionaire. He can, if he really wanted to, have a home in every single state. It's not like he's home. It's not like every game is in New England. It's not like every game is going to be in San Francisco. It doesn't matter where this guy lives. His family has grown up. His kids are going to grow up in New England. That is his legacy. That is where he is at. I hate when, people start bringing up, oh, he's from here, he's from there. It doesn't matter where he's from. It matters where he's happy. It just matters that he has a legacy. And like I said, football is only something that's on for a few months. So for half the year, he can live in San Francisco if he really wanted to. That to me means nothing.
Well, I have one more question before you in this segment, and it's, would the 49ers have won the Super Bowl with Tom Brady instead of Jimmy Garoppolo? And I think that would be a yes.
I would have to agree. I think that would be a yes, as long as you had time for them to gel in. But of course, looking at Jimmy G's performance in that Super Bowl, having a Tom Brady in there, ready for the big moment, I think they pulled that one out.
The 49ers might not have lost a game this season with Tom Brady as their quarterback.
Let's relax.
I'm just saying, Garoppolo didn't look that good against the Ravens when they lost. Against the
I think
Seahawks
the
when they
Ravens still
lost.
beat the Niners with Tom Brady.
Well,
on
the Tom Brady
roster.
had a rough game against the Ravens. So let's say
Exactly.
they would have lost one game, because I think they would have beat the Seahawks. But
When's the last time Tom Brady had a rushing offense like the 49ers currently
I don't
have?
think he's
I don't
ever
think
had
he
a
ever.
rushing
He's
offense
never
like
had
that.
anything remotely
And
like that.
That's been their game. That's when he was at his best, is that quick passing game. He's never been like that offense that he's perfect for isn't one that runs the ball down the field.
No.
Mhm. And Kittle would have been his new Gronk. It would have worked out perfectly for him. That's going to be interesting to watch. I think that would be insane, and that would be easily the biggest story in the NFL. But one place Tom Brady won't be playing next year is the XFL. So let's make some XFL predictions for this week. We were, of course, at the New York Guardians game. You saw some Instagram videos of table breaking. Reminder, we're going to have our big tailgate on the 28th for the New York Guardians, mine and Pablo's team, against Andrew's St. Louis Battlehawks, where producer Zonak is going through a table, and we're making sure of it. We might even jump on him through it, so you'll see. We'll see what happens. He won't jump through a metal bar, though.
Steve, I'm super excited and I'm super jealous because, as we stated on last week's episode 12, I was supposed to be at that game, and for unseen circumstances, I couldn't be there. And it just looked like an amazing time. If you guys have the chance, make sure you follow us at Before the Score on Instagram, on all major social media platforms.
Yeah, and you can send us videos of tailgates. You can send us funny videos. We'll post them on our account. We're trying to just get some content
you could send
out
us
there.
You could send us funny videos. You could also send us suggestions as to what you think we should add on the show, what type of topics we should talk about, questions. We want to make you guys feel as you are as part of Before the Score as us.
Mm-hmm.
We want, it's not just us four. It's not just us four in Zonak. It's not just us five guys here. It's all of you guys, and it's every one of you that makes us, who we are.
Yes. Well, let's get into picking these games. Of course, if you listen to me, you made some money because I went 4-0 last week, straight up and against the spread. I think that's pretty impressive, for the XFL.
Yeah, congratulations.
We're going to start. Some NFL picks.
We're going to start on Saturday at 2:00 on ABC. Got Houston Roughnecks at home, 12.5-point favorite against the Seattle Dragons. I'll start it real quick. The Dragons played a really good game last week and lost, but to one of the better teams in the league, Andrew's Battlehawks, So being 12.5-point underdogs, I get it. The Roughnecks are the best team in the league, but that's a lot of points to cover for the Roughnecks. So I'm going to pick the Roughnecks to win, but I'm going to take the Dragons to cover that giant spread.
Yeah, I think it's an easy pick just to pick the Roughnecks to win. That cover, 12.5 is a lot. I can't do it. I think the Dragons cover this. They've looked decent. They won their first home game. They played a close game. They lost a close game in their second home game. They lost a close game against the Battlehawks. So I think they'll cover this.
Yeah, I'm going to actually pick the Roughnecks to win this game and cover. And I think Seattle, they did some really good things last week after they benched Brandon Silvers for B.J. Daniels, which people have been calling for weeks.
Silvers is not a good quarterback.
He's not good. But part of why Seattle was able to keep that game so close is because the Battlehawks offense is not going to come out and score 40 points on you. That's just not the way they play. Houston, they could have 40 points on you by the end of the first quarter. That's just the way their game is with Cam Phillips and with PJ Walker. So I think Houston will cover because I don't think BJ Daniels will be able to keep up with PJ Walker.
I have a spoiler, not a prediction, that the Dragons will actually come up with a victory over the Roughnecks.
So you're picking a 12.5 point
Yes.
upset.
Yes, and I might throw some money on that.
That'd make you some money.
It might make me some money. I mean, I
Or
was
lose you some
I was looking
money.
over here. I mean, as of right now, just looking at the spread, plus 12.5. You know, as we just mentioned, they are.
What's their money line?
It's plus 380.
380.
Now
That'd be a good chunk of change.
that would be. I mean, if I threw 20, I'd win 76. You know, I don't know if I want to throw 100, but if I wanted to get ballsy,
Please don't.
I can speak
You
for
put
all
100
three
on
of
the
us and
Seattle
all the
Dragons.
viewers. Do not throw $100.
We'll put it up to a poll. If people vote yes, you got to do it.
100.
Everyone's gonna vote
100
yes to see you
beans.
lose
Mr.
money.
We'll put 100 on the Seattle Dragons.
I mean, that would be a good chunk of change right there.
But if they won, that'd be pretty exciting.
So the Saturday night game, you have Steve and Pablo's New York Guardians coming on the road to my Dallas Renegades, and my Dallas Renegades are 6.5 point favorites.
Here we go.
I gotta say, the Guardians played a great game last week, but they're a home team. They're not an away team. We've seen every game that they played on the road is a completely different team than them at home. Going all the way to Dallas, this isn't the Giants versus the Cowboys. This is the Guardians versus the Renegades. Give me the Renegades minus 6.5 here.
I think this is the easiest cover to pick. I think the Renegades win big. Like you said, Renegades. I mean, they've been playing really good football. I mean, they lost a close game against the best team in the league. Guardians have looked awful. They haven't even looked bad on the road. They've looked awful, like non-competitive. So I think the Renegades win and cover easily. And also, shout out Pablo for his team's first win as a fan.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, it's about time.
I think it's time that you guys start respecting me.
Here we go.
The mush
Kid wins
man.
one game.
I am going to pick the New York Guardians, and not only am I going to pick them because they are my team, they are officially my team. You know, I think it's the third week that they are my team. I want them to prove to everybody that they are not just a home team. They are going to win on the road.
Yeah, the Guardians have looked absolutely dreadful on the road. The one touchdown they scored on the road is when Luis Perez came in garbage time.
And won me some money.
We are off to a new era of New York Guardians football, the Luis Perez era. My boy, I mentioned him on the first XFL preview show, and this guy is going to help us beat the Dallas Renegades because they have an Instagram model as their quarterback this week because Landry Jones is injured.
I know.
There is no way that this Instagram model is going to come out and beat the guard dogs in our defense because the New York Guardians are going to go on the road. First road win of the XFL in this new era. The Guardians will win, and they will win big.
On duty.
Wow. All right, Sunday, we got Andrew St. Louis Battlehawks taking on the Defenders at home. St. Louis, though, 4-point favorites. I really like St. Louis here as 4-point favorites. The Defenders have just fallen off a cliff. And the Battlehawks have been one of these best teams in the league since they lost, I think, their first week.
They lost the second week.
Second
against
week of the
Houston.
season. Yeah, against Houston. Obviously,
Houston.
the best team in the league. The Battlehawks are playing great football. Defenders on a big slide. I'm going to take Seattle -4 here.
See, I think the Battlehawks are going to win. I'm going to put that out there. I think they're just head and shoulders for the 4 weeks that we watched them, so we don't really know that much.
Mhm.
But from what we've watched, they're clearly the more talented team, the more well-run team. I think they have the better quarterback. I think Jordan Tamu has outplayed Cardale Jones, how he's looked the past 2 weeks. But this 4 points, it kind of scares me. I don't know. But you look like the Guardians, great at home. Defenders, they played their first 2 weeks at home. They looked amazing.
Yeah.
2 games on the road, awful. That could be another one of those scenarios where they just turn it on at home in front of their fans. And Battlehawks, I mean, they had a nice win against Dallas this week 1 on the road, but the other game on the road they lost. So, I mean, it kind of scares me that 4 points, but so
They only lost by 4 to the Roughnecks, though.
So I know. This game worries me, but I'm still going to take the cover.
I agree with you, Andrew. I think your team, at least for this week, is going to do something special.
Let me give you a little anecdote about the DC Defenders, and this will determine my pick for the game. Cardale Jones was undefeated as the starting quarterback. He was the front runner for MVP, came into the XFL 2-0. He beats the New York Guardians 26-0. Guy looks fantastic. Then what happened? He just went off the rails. You know what Cardale Jones tweeted 2 hours after he beat the New York Guardians? At 6:28 p.m. on the 15th of February, he tweeted, "Now, time to see Sonic." Cardale Jones It is the Sonic curse. It is all over the XFL Reddit. It is all over the place. Cardale Jones has been cursed by that blue hedgehog since that movie. Since that tweet, Cardale Jones hasn't won a game, and he's looked terrible. Got blown out by LA. He got blown out by Tampa Bay. The DC Defenders, for the first time at home, Cardale Jones is going to be benched, and he's going to wish he never saw that movie because St. Louis is going to win and cover.
Wow.
Love it.
The hedgehog making an appearance. All right. Well,
what say you? Well, you already picked.
Yeah,
I kind of disregarded that.
Yeah. So last game is Tampa Bay Vipers versus the LA Wildcats. Wildcats at home and only 2-point favorites. This is my favorite pick of the week. Wildcats big here, in my opinion. 2-point favorites. Vipers are terrible on the road. I don't like them traveling all the way across the country to LA. Wildcats more than 2. Give me all of that. Love it.
Yeah, on a neutral field, I think I'd take the Vipers all day because I watched firsthand how bad LA looked, and I watched the Vipers lose me some money by beating the Defenders at home. I think they look great at home. They played really good football against the Defenders. That might just be DC just being that damn awful. But if it's in Tampa, I'm picking the Vipers. But since it's in LA, I think they suffer from the cold weather a lot last week in MetLife. So I think rebounding, going back home, playing in some warmer weather, I think they win this and cover.
The Vipers, they're going to win this game, and they are not the worst team like everybody suspected them to be. So I do think they are going to win this week, and I think they are going to show up big time, and that's just my prediction. My prediction is pain.
Ever since the Vipers rid themselves of this horrible thing known as the Pablo curse, they have been on fire offensively. They may not have the wins to show for it, but they are 1-0 in the Titus O'Neil era. Because Titus O'Neil of the WWE gave a pep talk to them at practice last week. They came out, they went off. Taylor Cornelius, I don't know who the hell this guy is, but he looked really good. And if you weren't watching the broadcast, you didn't see that they actually deflate the balls a little bit for Taylor Cornelius. I love how they can do that. Which is, it's funny because the NFL went to the Supreme Court over it. Frank Fleming, friend of Before the Score, tweeted Tampa Bay Vipers Deflate Gate Part 2. The Tampa Bay Vipers and their deflated balls. They're gonna they've broken the Pablo curse. I picked them last week to win. They're gonna go to LA and they're gonna get a win again.
All right. Well, that does it for the XFL.
Can I also say that I love how they do the home team hits their own ball with their own logo and everything on that. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, I really like that. Let's get into some questions though. So we got some questions from people for
let's see what we got
for today. The first one comes from Kevin Green. And he says the Heat are the only team to win against the Bucks twice. The Bucks only have 9 losses, so that's very impressive. Can they actually beat them in a playoff series?
Well, the Heat have had a surprise season. I don't think many people expected what they've been doing. You know, Bam Adebayo has been phenomenal for them. Going down the stretch, it's going to be hard to play Milwaukee in a 7-game series. 4 games on the road. The Bucks have just, they've just been blowing out opponent after opponent, looking so good this year, having a 53-9 record, having the front runner for MVP, who's having one of the best statistical seasons we've ever seen in our lifetimes. So I'm gonna have to roll with the Bucks here. I don't think there's any really big threat in the Eastern Conference right now that comes to eye. I don't think the Heat are that team.
Yeah, I actually have a bet where my one friend D-Rod, Dan Rodriguez, has the Bucks. And that's his only team, $20 to win the East. My one friend, Mike Bertrand, he has the 76ers and the Celtics, $20 to win the East. When they said that's who they wanted, I was like, thank you. I'll take the Heat and I'll take the money because I think that he could do it.
You think the Heat could do it?
I really do think that he could do it.
I'm going to take the Bucks as youth here. And the Milwaukee Bucks, obviously this team is a absolute powerhouse. Beyond Giannis, they are not losing to the Miami Heat in any type of playoff series. This is regular season. You take the same team, you take both teams, and you put them in the playoffs. I think Giannis would go absolutely off. I think it wouldn't even be close. It wouldn't even be close to the type of production he would get for his team.
I mean, I get the Heat have played well against the Bucks this year, but I mean, the Bucks are just so talented and played such great basketball this year that in a 7-game series, it's hard to bet against the far and away best team in the East to lose to a team like the Heat.
Mm-hmm. This next one comes from PK Patel, Dr. Hernandez. What's more deadly, coronavirus or Odell Beckham Jr.-itis?
Well, on a serious note, Odellbeckhamitis has affected a lot of people. But on a more serious note, coronavirus is really deadly. So, in that case, you can't really make jokes here. You have to take everything serious. And I do think that coronavirus is still not as deadly as Odellbeckhamitis. Odellbeckhamitis, let me tell you something right now. Odellbeckhamitis is self-diagnosed. So you don't even know if you have it until I diagnose you. So that is why it's not as might be more lethal, but it's not as dangerous. It definitely it's not more contagious than Odellbeckhamitis because once you have Odellbeckhamitis, you have it. Now your friends have it. Now their friends have it. The people who watch this podcast, if they listen to me, and if they really think, hey, I might be like that guy, you have Odellbeckhamitis. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you that right now.
Wow, what? I don't think PK was expecting that answer, but I can't wait to see
Definitely
his
not.
reaction. The next one comes from Tarek Al-Casey, and he says, updated Stanley Cup predictions. Andrew, you want to give us some?
You're gonna stay with the Jets?
I don't know. I know, Tarek. I know you want me to mention the Flyers in there.
Tarek, fuck the Flyers.
The Flyers. How many points are the Rangers out of the playoffs?
4 right now.
4 right now.
They are actually, what's the score? They are tied 3-3 at the end of the second period.
See, last time we did this,
With the
I picked
Capitals.
the Islanders as my team to make a run. They look pretty bad right now.
Yeah, they're dead.
I still got to put Boston up there. Blues look really good still.
Yep.
Blues look fantastic.
I think it's hard to bet against like a Blues Bruins Stanley Cup Finals, but I mean,
I hope we don't get the
it's
same
it's
one
too
again.
far off. Unless you're picking one of the top 2 teams in the league, it's a toss up right now. The way things can change between now and the end of the season, and the way things can shake up in the playoffs.
Mhm.
I really like the Avalanche. I just want to say this real quick. Third best team in the league. Their away record is 23-9-2, which is best in the league, and they have a 49 goal differential, which is I think second in the league. So, not a team that we are accustomed to seeing. The Blues, I guess, as of late, but Boston's a staple. You got Tampa Bay, Washington, Pittsburgh. Those are all really good teams, but Colorado, that might be a sleeper that many people are really sleeping on, that they're third in the league and no one's really talking about them.
Well, the beauty about NHL and the NHL playoffs is that any team could win. The first seed could could be upset by the worst seed. So I still have to stay with my Maple Leafs here, and I do think that they're somehow going to find a way to make it to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, in the East is just so tough, and if I had to pick somebody right now, I don't know how you can't pick the Bruins with the way they're playing.
Yep.
But I also do like the way the Pittsburgh Penguins
Yeah.
have looked,
Definitely.
and I think that they're going to be really tough out when it comes playoff time. But I just saw the Rangers play against the St. Louis Blues, and the way the Blues play, they can beat anybody.
They have
at
such a
any
good
time.
formula. The way Bennington's playing, the
Mhm.
defense they play, it's unreal.
They were literally getting me so mad
Yeah.
when they're playing the Rangers, and the Rangers try to mimic that same style almost.
They just don't have the
They don't have
roster
the
for that.
talent. Like
Yeah.
the Blues defense is just
It's
ridiculous. And when you're trying to match Alex Pietrangelo with Lindgren, you're not going to do it. So I think that the Blues are going to be a tough. I think they could go back to back.
Another team to watch, to keep an eye on, I think, is Tampa. Honestly,
I like Tampa a lot.
they're playing really good hockey. They're getting hot at the right time, and they're not nearly as talked about they were last year. They're kind of under that first tier of teams, so I think they can get hot.
And Tarek, I know you want me to say it. The Flyers have looked very good. They've been very impressive. But the East is just too difficult, in my opinion. I don't think they're better than the Bruins. I don't think they're better than the Lightning. I think that the Penguins would beat them in a 7-game series. They still got the Capitals. It's just a really tough conference. Speaking of conferences, Mike Bertrand wants to know, which Big Ten basketball team are you most confident going into March Madness?
Yeah, this has just been a crapshoot all year. Me and Mike were talking about this at the beginning of the year, how many teams we thought are going to get in the tournament. We said 10, and actually it might be 10. But the Big Ten all year has beaten up on each other. Ridiculous. You saw Rutgers just beating the number 1 team in Maryland. Maryland had a chance to clinch it. Didn't get it done. That leaves Wisco and MSU both tied for the lead here. So we could have, if Illinois wins out too, if all 4 of those teams win out, there's a 4-team share for the Big Ten title, which is ridiculous to say. Going forward, though, the one team I got to say, and I hate to say this, Michigan State, man. The way they played against Penn State, they were down, I think, maybe like 15 points against Penn State on the road, and they just came back. You got one of the best players in Cassius Winston. Just, what you're going to get from him. You got Tom Izzo, just a storied coach in the Big Ten and college basketball. Michigan State had that midseason blunder. They were a top 5 team. They lose maybe 5 of 6 or 4 of 6 or something ridiculous, have a bad stretch, but now they're just right back into it. And Michigan State is firing on all cylinders as of late. So most confident-wise, I really like them. But also, I want to say Wisconsin has been playing very good basketball as of late, as well as Iowa, who's a very tricky team because, they'll have games where they lose like to Purdue, which they got blown out by Purdue at home. But then there's other games where Iowa just looks unstoppable with Luka Garza. So that's another team that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Dan basically covered all the teams. So going from there, I do agree. I think Michigan State is the team I would be most confident in. They made the Final Four last year. They returned their best player, and they still have Tom Izzo.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you can bet against
But
them.
I like Penn State to make a little Elite 8 run. All right, Mike? I like Penn State. Keep sleeping on them. Penn State, they might have a chance.
Dave Stolte says, thoughts on the Leon Rose hire? What moves would you make? I mean, we kind of answered that already in the beginning of the show. So sorry, Dave. You get a little half-hearted answer right there. And finally, Mikey Ferro, Pablo, I direct this question to you. With all the injuries, will this cost the Yankees a playoff run?
The question?
That is an actual question.
That's his question. No. The Yankees, regardless of, I know we didn't get to talk about Aaron Judge, but regardless of guys like Giancarlo Stanton only missing a couple weeks, hopefully, and Luis Severino being out a whole year, we still have a lot of young pitchers. You look at a guy like Michael King, Clark Schmidt. You look at I can't think. Davey Garcia. The Yankees are going to be fine. The Yankees are going to have guys. They might not, have the production as a James Paxton or as a Luis Severino, but they still are going to be kind of productive. And in terms of the Yankees and Aaron Judge, I think that Aaron Judge, hopefully he can be ready by opening day. I know I've been very hard on Aaron Judge, especially his rookie year. I said that this guy sucked. I said that he strikes out way too much, but this guy, he's one of the top 10, I would say top 10 hitters in the game. And not having him is going to be a huge blow to the Yankees, and hopefully it is not long term. But then you have a guy like Miguel Andujar. Miguel Andujar, in the spring, he has looked phenomenal, and I think that this is somebody who's going to take advantage of a guy like Giancarlo Stanton being out, or hopefully not. But a guy, let's say if Judge were out, I do think he's going to take that left field job, by the balls and run.
I think with the Yankees, it's all about health. Beginning of the season is going to be a little weird because you have so many players that are injured, and they might be off to a slow start. Not that that's going to affect them down the stretch, but I don't know if we're going to see a 110-win Yankee team this year. Maybe not even 105, maybe not even 100. And that might get them. When seeding's all said and done at the end of the year, they might not be the 1 seed, but obviously they're going to be my favorite to win the World Series. But these injuries are going to affect their long-term positioning in the division, I think.
Well, I'm actually going to interrupt you, Andrew. I think the American League kind of sucks, especially in the Yankees division.
It's gotten a lot weaker.
It has.
The Baltimore Orioles are not a good team, and I think you could actually even put the Boston Red Sox. I think they're going to finish worse than the Blue Jays. They lost guys like Chris Sale. Potentially Chris Sale could miss the year. He keeps getting opinions. It's like it's like a competition right now. Who's getting more second opinions, him or Aaron Judge? Now they have a guy like Chris Sale injured. You have Mookie Betts. You have David Price out. So they are in a very good situation, especially in their division. But then in other divisions as well, aside from the Twins and the Astros,
the Indians, they're
I don't
decent.
know. I don't think the Indians. I think the White Sox are going
I
to be
think
better
the
team
Rays
than
are a
Indians.
very good team.
Yeah, the Rays, but I think you could probably say 6 or 7 teams are really good. So I don't think the Yankees have anything to really worry about if the injury stayed.
I hate to say this, but I think people are sleeping on the Astros this year. I really think that they're going to be a very good team. They could still be a number 1 seed in my mind.
They're a good team, but I don't think they're going to be a number 1 seed.
I don't see this big drop off from the scandal. I think they have a lot to prove.
Yeah, I don't think, to answer the Yankees question, I don't think it affects the Yankees really. I think they have the depth. We talk about this all the time, how much outfield depth, especially that the Yankees have. I think they'll be just fine. I still think they walk to that AL East title. But it does concern me about Judge as like his career wise. I think it just, how can you not be a little bit worried at least? I know people like to brush it off saying, hey, he'll be back mid-April, that it'll be fine from there. But I mean, at one point after these injuries stack up, can you like trust him to play a full season? I think you got to see that first. I think when he first burst onto the scene and broke the rookie home run record, he didn't deal with injuries like this, but he's huge. And you just worry about guys that size kind of breaking down a
Yep,
little bit.
Giancarlo Stanton as
Well,
well.
those big
Yeah.
guys, they get those muscle strengths.
Okay,
and stuff.
Steve, go.
Well, let's move on because we're running short on time, and
Okay.
you want to talk about AEW a bit. But before that, I just wanted one more debate I wanted to get your thoughts on. So, rapper Waka Flocka Flame came out in an interview, and he said that he knew he was a whack rapper, but he was just doing it to get the money to, use it in other ventures. So I want to know, who are your guys' Waka Flockas of sports? Who are some whack athletes who are making a shit ton of money who don't deserve it? There's got to be, you got to think somebody.
Wow. Do you have one in mind if you want to start?
I'll start it off. There's one, and I know Dan's not going to like this because it's
There we
Kirk
go.
Cousins.
Oh, wow.
And Kirk Cousins is a whack quarterback. I don't think he deserves all that guaranteed money. I don't think he'll ever win a Super Bowl. And he cost me my NFL playoff pool this year because I picked against him against the Saints. I picked for him against the 49ers. So Kirk Cousins is a whack athlete. He's my Waka Flocka of sports.
I think he I wouldn't say the word whack. I think he's very he's a nice guy. It's hard to shit on such a nice guy, you know.
Cornball.
He's a family man.
It's easy. I just shit on all the nerds at Princeton University.
He doesn't do anything
minutes
bad.
ago.
He never runs his mouth. I mean, he hit free agency at the right time and got the right deal. So good for him, I think. I don't know if it's a Waka Flocka type deal.
Yeah, he read through the whole Bible, whatever. Kirk
One,
Cousins.
I'm going to
Whack
say
quarterback.
this guy did not start off Waka Flocka-like, but lately he's been very Waka Flocka-like, and that is the Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, what have you done in the last
That's a bad
10
take.
years? He hasn't won a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. I think, 2010 was their last Super Bowl
Yeah.
with the Packers. This year you have all this hopes. They're a 13-3 team. Everyone's saying, the Packers this, the Packers that. They didn't stand a chance against the Niners. They looked terrible. The Packers, last year they didn't even make the playoffs. I get Rodgers was injured for some of it, but these years before, what have they done? They haven't gone to the Super Bowl. And this is Aaron Rodgers' team, And at this point, I see Aaron Rodgers more as a husband or as
He's your husband.
sorry, not a husband, a boyfriend to Danica Patrick. He's just taking his money and running with it, and that's my Waka Flocka athlete.
Yeah, I'm not going to name a current player, but one guy just jumps off the page to me to fit this perfectly for a guy who kind of is in it for the money and never really had the heart for it. Jay Cutler. I think he was never in that mental state of that killer attitude to be like an actually like above average elite quarterback, because he had the talent. He had all the talent in the world. He had a rocket arm. He never like seemed like he gave a shit really. So
I'm gonna have one, and it's gonna upset the whole table here. I gotta go with New York Mets, Yoenis Cespedes. This is somebody who obviously is very talented, and I was a very big fan of Yoenis Cespedes before he came to the New York Mets. With Oakland, I thought he was a really good player. But this is somebody who is completely gassed. I'm sick and tired of hearing about somebody who could be good. Oh, well, if Yoenis Cespedes hits 50 home runs, drives in 100 RBIs. I mean, he was good in 2015. He was great for that championship run. But when you look at the playoffs, he died in the playoffs. 2016, they gave him that contract. He really has missed 16, 17, 18.
nah, he played most of 16.
Still,
He had like 90 RBIs.
he's missed like 3 years.
He'll just get the wild card.
He's missed like literally like 3 years, and I'm just tired of everybody just gassing that this guy is going to be really good. Is going to be the savior for the New York Mets. I
don't think at this point. I think maybe last year people were talking about that, but I think this year, I think everyone kind of has that mindset. Whatever you get, like, you can't expect him to do anything. If you anything more than what he gave you last year, which is nothing, it's just a positive.
I thought that they shouldn't have. I did like the trade. I did like the trade of Yoenis Cespedes. It brought something different to the New York Mets.
It brought
culture.
a World Series.
No, he brought a World Series
appearance. Yes.
So,
Careful with that.
Yeah. Sorry.
But I just think that this guy was a complete wash, complete waste of money, and that contract is just an albatross.
I don't know if it's on him as being a Waka Flocka athlete, or is it more of him falling off a horse? Well,
that's the thing.
It's more
Fighting
him.
a wild
It's
boar.
more, it's more him having these freak accidents and these injuries than more of his mindset. He wants to be there.
But,
He wants
if
to
you
be
really
playing.
want to be a world champion and be the best at your craft, you're not.
Don't ride
you're
a
not,
horse?
You're not wrangling with wild boars at your ranch and doing
When
all
you're
that
trying to
crap.
come back from injury.
Exactly.
I think
You
that might
you have
make
to be
him-
taken a little more
I
seriously.
think Pablo might have
No.
won the Waka Flocka athlete picks with
Thanks.
that
Yeah,
one.
I love Uenis, but I mean, I think it's not that far fetched to say
Another
he's like
another
that.
Mets player, Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby
Wow.
Bonilla
I'll
is
tell
the
you-
Waka
I'll tell you
Flocka.
what,
I'm sick
Bobby
of hearing about
Bonilla-
him every year.
That
my
guy.
my least favorite storyline every single
June
year when they bring
1st.
it up.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Let us know who your Waka Flocka athletes are, and we'll keep an eye on more as we think of
Who
some
cares?
next week. But we're running low on time here, so real quick, Dan, give me a prediction for the UFC this weekend.
Yeah, so we got some good fights. Israel Adesanya is fighting Yoel Romero. Weili Zhang is fighting Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So we got some great fights this weekend. Some things I've seen watching the embeddeds and some hearing some things. It looks like Israel Adesanya has staph infection, which is going to be, you've seen in past fights where guys have staph infection and they're on so much medication that you get really tired. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. I think Yoel Romero has a real chance to win by knockout in this fight because Israel Adesanya is not going to have that same energy he does in every fight, and that's how he wins. He's a great kickboxer, maybe not a great knockout artist, but he could dance around the ring and really tire you down. Yoel Romero is a big threat, plus 250. I would look into taking him by knockout. When it comes to Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I love Weili Zhang by knockout here. She's a minus 180 favorite, which I think is a very good value. If you take her by knockout to win, I think that might be almost plus 100. That is my best bet of the week. Take Weili Zhang by knockout on Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah, so make sure you bet those UFC picks, make some money. I just have one question. How did Yoel Romero, now I love Yoel Romero, how is he getting a title shot after losing it? Didn't he lose his last fight?
So I think he's lost 3 of his last 4, if I can remember correctly. He fought Robert Whittaker twice, and arguably, you can make a very strong argument that he won both those fights. One of them he lost by split decision, which he should not have lost. That was ridiculous. He should have won that fight. The first one, I guess you could say maybe he didn't. But Yoel Romero it's a division where it's kind of like in a weird spot because there's not that number 1 title contender that you could really throw Izzy, So and Adesanya said he wants to fight the hardest fight going into this fight. That's why no one calls out Yoel Romero. This guy is a killer, So that's why he wanted to take the fight because it's really interesting and he wants to prove that he could beat these type guys. But with the staph infection, it's going to be very hard for him to win.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. And before we sign off, Pablo Hernandez, I want your thoughts on AEW Revolution and the show as a whole.
Thank you, Steve. I thought that the show was really good, and when you talk about storytelling, this show had a bunch of storytelling. It had really good matches. That tag team match, let me tell you, that tag team match was one of the greatest tag team matches I have ever seen, and I have, we saw it. We saw it on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That match was really good, and I think what they are doing with MJF and what they are doing with Cody Rhodes is awesome. Now, I do think it was the right move to have MJF win, the heel win, and he won in a heel way. He won in a sneaky type way. I think MJF is going to have a title match, a title opportunity against Jon Moxley, the new AEW champion, Jon Moxley. I think that MJF is going to fight for the title, and I do think that Jon Moxley is going to win. But I do think that they kind of like stretch out this Cody Rhodes storyline, and I think somehow he screws Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and it just keeps the storyline going.
Yeah, and of course we'll be there in 2-3 weeks?
It's in 3 weeks. AEW Blood and Guts.
Yeah.
I think they're saying it's going to be like a War Games type thing. I think that's honestly I think it's awesome that they give away a pay-per-view type of match on live TV, on free TV. That is going to be awesome, and I do have a feeling that the Exalted one is going to be debuting, hopefully on that day. Who do you think it's going to be?
If I had to do a prediction for the Exalted one, I think you gotta go with Matt Hardy. I think this guy is just perfect for that role, and he's already plays. This is exactly the role he wants to play, and I think this would be perfect for him. And it would really give the Dark Order some star power because right now they don't really have it. I mean, El Evo Uno is like. It just doesn't do it for me.
Do you know what bothers me about the Dark Order? And I actually do think with the rankings when they do come out, I think they're the number 1 or number 2 ranked tag team right now.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't done anything. They've been beating these scrub teams. So how are they so high on this ranking? I think a guy like Matt Hardy would bring so much prestige to this team.
Yeah, and so much credibility. I think that would be an interesting thing to watch as the weeks go on. But I think that's all we got for Before the Score, episode number 13.
Shout out Rutgers beating Maryland.
Yeah,
Just want to shout that
He's
out.
always got to throw in the Rutgers.
Dude, they're going to make the tournament. They just beat number 9 Maryland at home. The Storm Chasers were there. The Barstool Storm
Yeah,
Chasers.
how about that?
They were on the court storming. Go for them.
Next week, we're going to do a whole NFL free agency preview for you. And in 3 weeks from this episode, we have our second guest on this podcast. He'll be live in studio. It's going to be Rich Zeller, a.k.a. at It's Rich Z. He's the host of the Garden State Hip Hop Hour on 90.3 FM, and he is the curator of the Garden State Hip Hop and R&B Spotify playlist. So go check that out. He's a lot of awesome rappers on there, and he has interviewed a lot of really great people. And he also just started a podcast. It's called Boots to the Booth, which highlights former military veterans who are now trying to make it in music. So he has a lot of really cool projects, and we're going to talk about what he's doing, and we're going to do a whole MLB preview for you that week as well.
I can't wait. I understand he is a Yankee fan,
Mm-hmm.
so him and I are going to get along we're going to get along amazingly. I'm super excited, and I just want to thank you guys again for just helping Before the Score grow, and we are going to have big news as the weeks continue.
Yes, look out for some big news and more information about the tailgate coming soon.